as I think you all know, the school system has an ombudsman, and what do you think the priorities should be of the position and how the board should evaluate the ombudsman's effectiveness?
We're all really proud of the school system, and we're very privileged to have wonderful teachers, great administrators, the funding capacity to give our schools what they need. However, there are issues, and I think the ombudsman plays an important role. I think, having observed some of the things I've observed over the past year or two, I can tell you that I think that the board needs to be more responsive to some of these concerns. I remember sitting in a meeting where our teachers were sharing some of the morale data, and a member of the school board said, almost, and I quote, "I am not interested in hearing the bad news when I visit a school. I'm just interested in hearing the good news to share and accentuate it." My heart broke a little bit, as someone who graduated from the schools, as someone who has 3 kids in them now, because as a board member, there's probably very little credit, at least that I would feel, that I could take for the great things that would happen in the school system, because that really comes down to what happens in the classroom. But if I find out about challenges, those are areas where I know I can help. And that broke my heart. When I heard about what happened at Cradle Rock, that the Board of Education got a report on December 18, 2008 in writing and didn't respond to the public on it for about 18 months, I was disappointed in that as well, as someone who loves the school system. So I think the ombudsman plays an important role in what's going on.
These are the things that I talked about, and Mr. Meshkin is misquoting me. I said when I go to schools, it's to see the good things that our teachers are doing because, and I joked, the complaints come very quickly. I don't need to seek those out. What I need to seek out are the good things that our teachers are doing because most of them are so modest. They're in their classrooms doing their job, and they're wonderful.
Vaillancourt, okay.
The ombudsman is a position that I lobbied hard for when I ran for the Board of Education in 2004. And I think that it's been unfortunately de-teethed by the administration as they've pushed back against the idea of having parents have an opportunity to navigate the system with some assistance. Up until then, and again now, the only real recourse most parents have is to hire a private lawyer. And then they are in a position of paying their lawyer to fight for something that should be right and that they should be able to get a service for against the school system's lawyer who has unlimited resources and the deep pockets of all of us. And I think that the ombudsman should be a position that should be very independent. It should have a staff, and parents should be able to go to the ombudsman, particularly when we have a Board of Education that seems to pride itself on saying, I can't listen to your problem because you might end up in front of me on an appeal. It seems to me that if you diffuse the appeal or the problem, you won't have an appeal.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ballinger.
I think Brian brings up a good point, and Ms. Vaillancourt brings up an excellent point too. I think that we need to make sure that as partners in the education program, as a school board member, that we want to be energized and we want to make sure that we're involved in the process to take on some of the challenges that our students and our families and our community have. And I think one of the things that we have kind of heard in the last year and a half is that we don't feel that way as parents. We don't feel that way as teachers, that we are involved in the process. And I think that the ombudsman and the process could be streamlined so that the challenges that families face with the system and the bureaucracy of the system can be a benefit to the family and to the school. And I'd like to see a board member be engaged in that, take pride in that. And as a board member, I will make sure that my opinions and my ability to listen are heard.
I'll give a shot at this. I was around, I wasn't on the board, but I was around when the ombudsman policy was first put into effect. And I have to admit, at the time, I thought that, and the dynamics were different in the county at the time. I think the board was under a bit of assault, not to say that we're not under assault right now for a variety of things, but I think we're doing a pretty good job. Putting that aside for a second and trying to answer the question, I didn't think the ombudsman's position was something that was needed at the time. I thought that it was, to be frank, I thought that it was a position that was being created to deflect the board from the obligations it had to, as sort of a constituent service. Now that I'm on the board and now that I see how effective our Ombudsman has been in dealing with issues that are somewhat touchy for a board to handle, for example, issues that would perhaps breach confidentiality, that discuss specific student records. The Ombudsman has been able to, at least based on my perception and the reports that I get, work through the system to help people find the services that they need.